And what is cracking? It is your girl, Lillian Francis. I'm a music producer and educator, and it is my goal on this channel to make learning music production chill and fun. So welcome. Today I'm gonna show y'all how to take an idea for a song and record it in Ableton Live. If you're anything like me, you like to write songs and maybe just record them on your phone and your voice notes, and they may or may not ever actually turn into anything real. What I want for you is to feel empowered to record and produce these songs yourself so that you can actually create the music that you hear in your head and in your voice notes. So if you want full control of your sound and you want to take your ideas and record them and turn them into real live songs, then you are in the right spot. So I was at Burning Man a couple weeks ago and I went out into the middle of the playa, brought my guitar and my amp and my loop pedal and just wanted to see what would happen. And as soon as I got out there, I immediately just had this melody and these words wash over me, and I ended up just writing a song completely out there. And I've been very excited about it. So I was stoked to come back to real life and get the opportunity to record it. So I've got it on my phone. I'm gonna go ahead and play you guys a little clip, and then we're gonna see how we turn this into an actual song in Ableton.
Tell me one more time you don't love me, let it sink in. Let it sink behind the mountains till it's dark.
It's a very easy song. It is just 2 chords being played over and over throughout the entire song. So we're gonna keep it pretty simple production-wise. The first thing I wanna do is find out the tempo of the song. So I'm just gonna play it on my phone and use my tap tempo feature in Ableton. So let's dive right into Ableton. Splash! All right, we're hovering right around 165, so let's move that to 165. Now I'm going to record guitar first. I'm gonna make sure that all of my inputs are good and selected, so I'm gonna hit Command comma to pull up my preferences. I have my audio input as my Universal Audio Thunderbolt, which is my interface. My output as my interface, looks good. I've got my sample rate at 4800, which is what I wanna see. I got my buffer size down to 128, so there's not gonna be too much latency. I'm gonna record this in arrangement view. I'm gonna go ahead and select the right input. So for the guitar, I'm gonna select input 1, which is where it's plugged into my interface. We can keep the monitoring on off, and then I'm going to arm my track. Let's go ahead and grab my guitar and record the part. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my metronome and let's hit record. All right, so we just recorded for like a minute. I'm sure there's plenty to use here. What I want is like 2 loops. What is that? 2-bar loop. So I'm gonna do 1 2-bar loop on one side, 1 2-bar loop on the other side. It's gonna create a wide stereo image for my guitar. So let's just go ahead and find a couple loops that sound good. All right, I think this one and this one probably sound the best. So I'm gonna grab this guy, drag it down here. It'll create its own audio track. Let's listen to the 2 of them. I'm gonna pan 1 to the left, 1 to the right. Let's just make sure they're actually lining up. And they're almost lining up. They're like a little bit off. So what I'm gonna do is, 1, I could either just keep them as they are because it sounds fine and this does not have to be super precise, but I can also go ahead and double click my clip, open it up, and then look inside and use my warp markers here to drag the audio around. So if I double click one of these gray guys up here, these are called pseudo warp markers, I can click them and drag them and snap them into place. So I'm just gonna like snap a couple of these into place. Bam, bam, bam. Cool. So essentially, I just want it to be as seamless a loop as possible. So I can see on those like down beats, I'm just lining up the transient there. So I'm also gonna go ahead and switch my warp mode over to complex mode. And this is gonna make sure that as we stretch our audio around, it is going to stay as authentic to the actual sound as possible. Cool, sounds good enough. Let's do it with the other one as well. Just make sure they're all lined up. All right, let's take these 2, bring them to the beginning, duplicate them out a couple times, and we just wanna make sure that they're gonna loop well because we might wanna increase the crossfade a little bit. Yeah, that sounds good. So I'm gonna go ahead and take what we have already and just hold down Shift, select all of our clips, and then Command D, duplicate it out. Let's group these together and turn them into our guitar group. So I'm going to select track 1, I'll rename it Command R, guitar left, and hit tab, guitar right. Now I'm going to hold down Shift, select guitar L, so they're both selected, and then hit Command G, which is going to group them together. I like that. I do know I want kind of more of a slow intro for this chill ass guitar song, so I'm gonna create little fades at the beginning of both. So what I'm gonna do is play around a little bit with the guitar that we have, maybe resample some like an octave up and kind of just play around. I'm gonna drag down one of these guitar clips that we already have and hold down Option while I'm dragging it, which is going to create a duplicate version of that. Let's go ahead and pitch it up. Ooh, that sounds good. Maybe I'll just like, let's see what happens if I reverse this though. I just hit R to reverse it. Ooh, maybe I'll take this first half, which is kind of starts right here, and I'm gonna extend the clip by just dragging it out. And then I'm gonna grab the second half that's not the beginning because I reversed it. Cool, and I'm gonna bring that over on this side. So hypothetically, I should have like a weird version of what I have up here. Maybe I'll change the warp mode so it kind of sounds a little bit different in texture. Honestly, I think that sounds good. So we have one version of this. Let's do what we did, but with the other guitar clips. Let's listen. Cool. I want these higher guitars to fade in during the intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this second, like half of the loop, hold down Option, bring it to the beginning. And what this is going to allow me to do is kind of fade it in like that. So hypothetically, yeah. All right, so I'm not gonna get too into mixing, but a couple things I do wanna do with the guitars. One, I wanna add in some reverb. So we already have a reverb on my return track. What is a return track? You should watch my video on parallel processing. So this is a guitar reverb. Let's see how it sounds. I'm going to send all of my guitars to this reverb. So I'm going to use my guitar group to send this first one. This is my first send A, and you click and drag up. And this means that I'm going to send, let's see, negative 15 decibels of guitars to this reverb. Let's hear what that sounds like. Sweet, I like the reverb. I am going to go ahead and duplicate these little guitars, Command J to consolidate them, and then I can do a really like big fade on them so they kind of get out of the way immediately, but don't disappear immediately. All right, sweet. Just a couple other things I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set up an EQ just to shape the sound of my guitar a wee bit. So first off, I wanna high pass this. So I'm just gonna kind of bring up my frequency to cancel out any super low frequencies that are gonna muddy up the mix and kind of clean up the guitar. I'm gonna do a quick sweep. I'm gonna find some frequencies that spark joy. I'm gonna find some frequencies I don't like. Hear how that just cleans it up? Yay. All right, so that's the guitar for now. Let's move on. I'm gonna take a vocal take, but I'm not gonna care too much about it because I'm going to retake my vocals all at the end. For now, I'm just gonna add in one of my like simple vocal mixing templates. This is my vocal mixing template. I have a Waves real-time auto-tune. I have this fab filter, which is just an EQ. I'm dipping around 350 because in my voice, that's like the kind of muddy zone. And then I am doing a little bit of compression, which I am using a CLA 2A4, but any compressor will work. I have some Roth air, which I absolutely love. It adds like a breathiness to my vocals. I have another EQ, and then I have just a little bit of saturation to add kind of some grit and help it cut through the mix. This vocal chain has plugins that are not in Ableton, but I made one with only Ableton plugins, and if you guys would like to use it, you can go ahead and download it below. It is my favorite thing to get me started mixing vocals and get them immediately sounding so much better. So go ahead and download that below if you so choose. So let's go ahead and select my microphone input, which is channel 2. La la la. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and do a vocal take.
Tell me one more time.
Yikes.
Single with you.
Fuck.
And I hear every single word you're speaking. God, I wish I knew what you were thinking. God, I wish I knew what you were thinking.
Alrighty, so those are the vocals. Those are the vocals. And I'm gonna add a little bit of a hostile just to kind of widen up my vocals a little bit.
Tell me one more time you don't love me. Let it sink in. Let it sink behind the mountains till it starts.
There we go. So we're just adding like a little bit of width. All right, I'm not gonna get too into vocal production right now. Let's think more about the arrangement. So obviously an important thing that we're missing right now is some drums. So let's create a new drum track. Shift, Command T. Over here, I'm going to find my drums. I have a bunch of pre-made drum racks. That sounds kind of cool. So let's bring that in. So for drums, what I'd recommend is either finding a song that you want your song to sound like something you'll be on the same playlist with, analyze that drum track and listen to it and be like, okay, where are the kicks hitting? And then programming the kicks that way. Where are the snares hitting? Programming the snares that way. And then just kind of try to replicate it. And that will help you set the vibe. You probably won't get it exactly right. And that's the point, is that you're just using it to kind of inspire and lead the way. What I know I want is like a pretty simple 4 on the floor, boom, clap kind of situation. And I want it to develop over time. So at the very beginning, it's just going to be like boom, 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 just kick, kick, kick. And then as we go on, we will add more and more. Now let's create a MIDI clip. Hit Shift Command M. Now we have a MIDI clip. Within this MIDI clip, I can draw my MIDI notes, which are going to trigger the samples in my drum rack. Put one on every beat.
Mama, tell me you don't love me. Let it sink in.
I like the sound of it, but it's kind of high. I'm just gonna put a auto filter, an EQ or something. Let's put an EQ on that kick. There we go. I'm going to now drag it out. And because my loop is turned on, I could drag it out forever and it'll loop forever. So essentially I'll just drag it out as long as I want.
Mama, tell me you don't love me. Let it sink in. Let it.
Now what I want to do for this second part over here is I want to add something in to keep the energy rising and building. I need to separate this clip right here. So I'm going to hit Command E. Now we have a separate clip on this side as this side. I'm imagining like a housey groove to this. So like,
You don't want my body to touch me.
so let's just put a hi-hat in. I'm gonna hit my B on my keyboard to open up my draw command. I'm going to select this, Command D, duplicate it across.
You don't want my body to touch me.
And then instead of having all of them at the same velocity, what I'm gonna do is bring down the randomization here. What I can do is I can randomize all these velocities by a range of 12. So I just hit randomize, and now they're all slightly different. And you know what, actually, I'm also gonna add a groove to this, which if you don't know about grooves, go check out my video about the groove pool. I'm going to find maybe like a swing groove. So I just hit the hot swap next to groove here, and let's find swing. Sure, let's try that.
You don't want my body to touch me.
Bring the timing down a little bit and add a little bit of randomization.
You don't want my body to touch me.
All right, cool. And for the next little section, I'm gonna raise the hype even more in this little B section. So let's Command E to split off this little clip, and let's add that snare, baby. Yeah, there we go. And duplicate it across.
The roses yet to plant.
Cool, I like that snare, but I want a little bit more like reverb, a little bit more like, wow.
The roses yet.
So let me just put a reverb on this guy. We're just gonna put a straight up Ableton reverb. And
The roses.
yeah.
Do your magic. Taste.
So as we get into this next B section, let's again drag out our loop. Go ahead and Command E to cut it right there. Maybe just like a little shaker.
I'm dreaming out in.
Cool, that sounds good. Bring it down though. Command D, 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 D. Sweet, and we're gonna send that just like out to the end, I guess. And let's create a new audio track, because for this last little section for A, I'm just gonna put in an audio loop, like a shaker loop. There we go, chill AF. Let's bring that in. Let's just duplicate that across.
You don't want my body to touch me.
Cool, and I'm gonna go ahead and add a compressor. Ooh, which actually the guitar totally needs too. I wanna do some sidechain compression. So i.e. every time the kick hits, I want the volume of the shaker to dip. So we're adding like some bounce to it. So what we can do is open up our sidechain in the compressor and then get audio input from minimal underground beats, whatever. And then engage the EQ. So essentially, we are asking the compressor to listen to the signal coming from minimal underground beatbox, and we're listening to any signal under 80 hertz, i.e. just listen to the kick. And when the kick passes the threshold, I want you to reduce the volume of the shaker. So I'm gonna set the threshold so we're getting some good gain reduction, some good bouncy gain reduction.
You don't want my body to touch me.
There we go, cool. And I'm just gonna copy over this compressor, Command C, and paste it onto my guitar so my guitars are bouncing too.
Somehow imagine so confused.
All right, so this is getting close. We're getting close-ish. A couple things I want to do. One, I want to have another little guitar, like a little guitar wiggle come in, maybe around like, I don't know, yonder. So what I'm going to do is Command T, new audio track. It is set to 1. I'm going to arm it. And I'm just going to do like a little bit of noodling on the guitar, find like a little loop, and then put it in. So let's just start recording.
Touching me, and I'm singing like a man, and I'm swimming through your water.
Schwa, schwa, schwa. All right, so there were a couple good little friends in here. And this guy. Should sound good together. Let's find out. Let's pan to the left and to the right. And I'm just going to duplicate these guys till the end of time.
And I'm dreaming out in public.
There we go. And then I'm also hearing trumpets. Let's see how that works out. I love the Ableton Live Pack orchestral brass. That's what it is. Okay. Sure, let's try that. I'm getting like Sufjan Chicago energy. I'm just gonna turn on my MIDI keyboard. Wow, if I knew what key this was in, let me find out what key this is in real quick.
I'm dreaming out in public.
B, it's in B. Let's go ahead and create like a 4-bar loop, Shift Command M.
Tell me you don't want my body to touch me.
All right, I'd probably want an actual trumpeter to play this because I'm not like convinced that this sounds good remotely. But I think once I have an idea of like how I want it to sound, then I could ask my friend who plays trumpet to come in and record them playing and then edit it and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a couple things here. First off, I'm gonna throw in a reverb.
You don't want my body.
I want this to be pretty washed out, which is why I'm not using parallel processing on this. And I want to automate the dry wet. So like at the very end, like it gets to be like really fucking super wet as we exit. Let's put this Haas delay and the compressor on the trumpet. Chill. A couple things I want to do are adding like little vocal throws and vocal delays. And also I would love to add more vocals. And obviously this is not fully finished, but when I'm saying like the touching me, touching me, touching me, when I'm doing that, which is kind of like my chorus essentially, I want all of a sudden there to go from 1 to 3 different voices. So let's do that right now. I'm just going to record a couple more versions of this.
Touching me, touching me, touching me.
I'm going to pan one vocal hard right, one of the other vocals hard left. And so then when we have this like chorus section,
Somehow I find it hard to trust you. Touching me, touching me, touching me. You are
vocal throws. So I know when I say something like roses,
in the roses yet to play.
I want to make roses, and then just like breathe and open up. A couple different ways I'm gonna do that. One, I'm gonna really intensify the reverb at that point. So let's right click and we're gonna send an ungodly amount of reverb to our return track when I say roses. So let's make a start and an end, and let's just send it all. Let's hear how that sounds. Just like sending it 100.
Roses yet to play.
That's too much. Bring it down.
Roses yet to play.
Sweet. And then I'm gonna do this for the rest of my
dreaming.
And let's add a little bit of like a delay. You know what I mean? Let's grab a delay, throw it on this new return track I created, and let's do like a little tiny like 16th note delay, but let's mix up the sync. So just a little bit offset. Yeah, with a little bit of feedback, dry wet at 100. And then I'm gonna copy this exact same automation right here. So I just selected it. Make sure you select the bottom part, not the top part. The top part selects the clip. The bottom part selects the automation. And then I'm gonna right click on the third send, show automation, and then I'm just gonna Command V that shit. Let's listen to how this sounds. Oops, okay. These guys need to be all the way down. All right, let's hear this. In context.
In the roses yet to plant, in the blossoms I'll never smell.
And let's create one more delay, Option Command T. And this is gonna be just like a more normal delay. We're gonna sync it like quarter notes, but a little bit of offset because that will widen our sound, and that's good to have with a delay. Let's look at our C send and right click our descend, show automation, and paste it. So now we have this kind of like quarter note delay on it.
In the blossoms I'll never smell.
And so one more thing I'm gonna do, because we have like something happening at this end, right? The trumpet, and we have something more happening at B, right? We have this guitar riff that comes in, but we don't have anything really happening at this place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take that guitar from the beginning. Let's Option drag it over to B, and I'm just gonna let this kind of fill it in right there. And my hope with that is just making sure that we add things in as we go to keep the song moving and developing, because it's not like a super exciting song. It's more just like pretty, you know?
In the roses yet to plant, in the
Cool. And I feel like I keep saying the last thing I want to do, but really the last thing I want to do today is just all of my instrumental and then do some sidechain compression because my vocal's getting lost, and I want to have all my instruments duck out just a little bit whenever my vocals come in. So let's go ahead and take my input to B vocal.
And I'm singing on command.
Oh, I heard another thing too. When I say on command, I want to do on command.
I'm singing on command.
Let's create a new delay, and I'm gonna put it on this E return, and I'm going to send command on command to this delay.
I'm singing on command.
Yay! Okay, we're gonna say this is sounding honestly really beautiful. There are definitely other things I want to do, like get an actual trumpet player on this and do like a full-on mixing job, but it's a pretty simple song. I don't think it needs that much. I don't think we need to overcomplicate music. If it sounds good, it is good. And so I hope that in watching this, you can see yourself actually taking your songs, taking your ideas, recording them, and finishing them, and making something beautiful that you can be proud of and you can share. If you have always wanted to make music, record music, produce music, and be able to share it, I hope that this inspires you to actually do it, because I promise you it's not that hard and it's really rewarding. And if it seems like a lot or seems really challenging right now, just know that literally every single time you do it, it's going to get better and easier. So keep doing it. Please, if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me and ask me, how'd you do that? Or why'd you do that? Or what about this? And I'm also happy to hear what you guys make. So feel free to ping me on Instagram. You can send me a little DM p.m. And yeah, happy music making. You got this. You're the only person in the world who can make the music you hear in your brain. So please, for the rest of us and for yourself, actually make that music and share it. So I'm going to end this video by playing this guy start to finish. If you like to stick around and listen, that'd be cool, or don't. And I will see you guys next time. So anyways, lots of love. Bye.
Tell me one more time you don't love me. Let it sink in. Let it sink behind the mountains till it starts. And I hear every single word you're speaking. But God, I wish I knew what you were thinking. God, I wish I knew what you were thinking. Tell me you don't want my body to touch me. I wish you told me things I could believe. But somehow I find it hard to trust you. Touching me, touching me, touching me. You are touching me, touching me, touching me. You are touching me, touching me, touching me. You are touching me, touching me, touching me. In the roses yet to plant, in the blossoms I'll never smell, couldn't compare to your magic, to your spell, 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 to your spell. And I'm dreaming out in public, and I'm singing on command, and I'm swimming through your water to my sand, 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 to my sand. Tell me you don't want my body to touch me. Somehow I'm so confused, but I forget I'm not supposed to love you when I'm touching you, touching you, touching you. When I am touching you, touching you, touching you. When I am touching you, touching you, touching you. When I am touching you, touching you, touching you.
Ta-da!